Well, with Memorial Day coming up, there's no better time to raise awareness and try to help prevent the increasing and tragic issue of veterans committing suicide. One America's Mike Deneau has more.
I want to welcome a man who has now devoted his life to preventing veteran suicide, President and founder of Check a Vet Retired Special Forces, Chief Michael Carmichael. Thank you very much for being here, Michael.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate you having us on today.
You got it. What exactly is Check a Vet?
Check a Vet is a national nonprofit to prevent veteran suicide. We're going to prevent veteran suicide by getting people involved in veterans' lives, raising awareness to suicide, and educating people on the signs and symptoms of suicide.
Michael, what are the most current statistics on veteran suicide that you know of?
The most current statistics on veteran suicide, according to the VA, there are 17 veteran suicides each day. According to the last suicide report, 6,146 veterans ended their life by suicide in 2020. That is kind of lately been overshadowed by a study called Operation Deep Dive, which was a study done by the American Warrior Partnership with the help of Duke University and the University of Alabama. They found that the VA is actually underreporting their numbers by a factor of 2.4. So currently, from 2001, September 11th, through the end of 2020, a total of 127,560 veterans have ended their life by suicide. You're not going to find that number anywhere. I had to find it in some buried appendix in the back of the VA report. But if we apply the 2.4 factor to that number, Mike, we're talking about 306,000 veterans ending their lives after they've come home from war.
Oh my goodness. Mike, what is the VA's shortcomings when dealing with veterans?
I can give you my answer. And what I try to tell other veterans who are suffering is, if you don't like the help you're getting from the VA, you need to tell them that you want to talk to somebody else. That has to be a good partnership. I think by having healthcare workers come and go, it really affects the continuity of care for the veterans. It affects their medication. It affects a lot of things. So stable continuity of care is really what veterans need. And the other thing, man, I wouldn't want the VA's job on suicide prevention. But if I did have it, I'm going to own it. I'm going to be responsible for clearly and accurately reporting the information. Why wouldn't you do that? I mean, at the end of the day, if you need more resources to do your job, you better tell them how bad it is so that you can get those resources.
Why do you think peer-to-peer programs are better in preventing veteran suicide?
Let's start out with the obvious. Peer-to-peer support like Alcoholics Anonymous and Al-Anon have been working since 1935. Addicts depend on these meetings. They schedule their lives around these meetings. And that's a continuous struggle, the same way that suicide can be. I'm not a smart guy, but I don't mind to borrow from this and put onto that. So let's take a model that works. Let's take a model that actually helps people, and it's free and everybody can use it. And we can actually get it all the way down to into communities across America in a relatively short amount of time.
Michael, do you think suicide is the problem or a symptom of the larger problem?
Mike, that is an awesome question. And I love to have this discussion with older psychologists and psychiatrists, because they've spent their whole lives thinking that suicide is the problem. It's not the problem. You have to figure out what is stressing these men and women out so much that they're considering taking their lives. If you can get that down, then there never is a suicide. So that's why the problem is whatever the stressor is, and the symptom would then become suicide.
All right, let's touch on that. What do you think are the things that are stressing these veterans out?
If You've seen that video that's floating around most recently about the poor guy who's sitting in his car and he's just falling apart. What's stressing that guy out is actually the VA, the organization who's supposed to be propping him up. The VA does stress out a lot of veterans. I tried to be objective and help people out by saying, if you don't like who you're talking to, get somebody else. But at the end of the day, if the VA is losing credibility with the veterans, then we need something else. They have to have something else. And quite possibly a peer-to-peer model support group could be that something else.
What is your personal thoughts about medication for these veterans, or do you simply think it's just a Band-Aid?
Absolutely, it is a Band-Aid. You have to treat the problem instead of throwing meds at it. I know because they had done that to me. You feel numb. You don't feel like yourself. Think about like the holistic programs that you see with yoga, exercise, diet. Those are all things that really get to the core of a person and make that person more healthy. You let somebody continue to sit on the couch and pop pills by themselves, contemplating what they're going to do with themselves. That's tragic. That's going to end in tragedy.
Michael, which group accounts for the most veteran suicides?
That is a great question. And that's something that really blew me away as I became a study of suicide, because I always thought that the problem was the worst for the younger guys. Actually, veterans that are 35 and over account for more than 80% of veteran suicides. 80%. So it's not the young guys. A lot of people that have veterans in their lives think, my veteran's older, so he's safe. Not the case. Not the case. They're actually more at risk. They're not more at risk. However, they account for way more suicides in the year.
Michael, what do you think is the correlation between combat service and no combat service and suicide?
If you would have asked me that when I started Check a Vet, 100%, I would have said suicide is so much more involved with combat veterans. It's not even a question. However, as I study and try to learn more so that I could do my job better, I found more and more studies that actually show non-combat veterans are more at risk than combat veterans. And I get asked, people ask me, why is that? I can't say I know the reason, but my answer to the reason is I think that there's a certain degree of regret. And then I think a good analogy could be, can you imagine being a firefighter for 20 years and never going to a fire? Meanwhile, all your friends and your comrades are fighting fires all the time. So I think that it's an element of regret, or like they never got a chance to really step forward and do their job.
It's amazing information, Michael. How can more people find out about Check a Vet or possibly even get involved?
Hey, please, all I want people to do is get involved with their veterans. But I've learned over the last 2 years, I can stand in front of people and tell them all day long, what we need to do is scale this thing up. We need to get this message out in front of America. We're struggling to get 10,000, 20,000 viewers and followers. Please care about your veteran. Learn what you can from checkavet.org. All of that's other people's information, CDC and the likes. If you want to help us with this mission, hit the contribute tab and help make a difference for us. Right now, 100% of everything that we've collected is going right to this mission.
Chief Michael Carmichael with Check a Vet. First of all, thank you for what you're doing, and also thank you so much for taking the time to join us this afternoon.
Mike, you're my hero for having me on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, buddy.
For all our viewers asking where One America News is heading in the future, we would like to introduce you to OAN Live. OAN Live is the best way to stay up to date on all of the hard-hitting, straight-shooting, national and international headlines. And the best part is, OAN Live is only $4.99 per month. All the credible, honest, unbiased reporting One America News offers at a fraction of the cost of cable. Just go to OANN.com to easily sign up for OAN Live and stay informed.